First of all, I want to say thank you to LCS for even having Open Circle, having a new idea about being able to have a place to share new and different ideas. So I'm grateful for that. Can everybody hear me?
Yes.
Awesome. Awesome. So I am trying to do a 3-hour workshop in 30 minutes. So this workshop is going to be exactly like how I was taught how to do this. So you will leave here with exactly the information that I was like, here, go do it now. So, except I'm going to give you a little bit more information than that. But I also want to thank, I don't know who this is, but I've emailed with him, Greg Custer.
Yes, he's not here today.
Oh, okay, thank him. And, but mostly I want to thank you because all of you showed up to find out what the sacred self-writing is. So thank you to your higher self, divine self, whatever you call it, for showing up for that today. It just makes me so happy. What is sacred self-writing? So since I've learned about this, I've been, like she said, October made 11 years that I've been doing it. And it was really born out of, I was in a very confusing place, and I've practiced this type of writing, and it's really giving me clarity, it's giving me more information, but not from a journaling kind of self thing, it's been from a higher source. I don't know what the name of that is. You can ask yours what the name of that is. I don't know, you'll find that out in this process. But how I define sacred self-writing is an intentional writing practice that allows you to access your inner wisdom, intuition, and higher self for guidance, clarity, and healing. Sacred self-writing is a spiritual and transformative dialogue with your deepest self. So, how I start everything I do, because I'm a yoga teacher and mindfulness practitioner, we start with a breathe-in. So uncross everything, and you can have your hands on your lap or however you want them. Just make sure that you're uncrossed, and just, you can close your eyes or stare blankly, it doesn't matter. And just relax yourself. And I'm going to go from your head to your toes, just a very simple and quick relaxation technique. And just make sure that you're breathing in and out through your nose. Taking breaths that help cleanse and expand you. And relax your forehead, the top of your head, your eyes, your eyebrows, your nose, your cheekbones, underneath your nose, your jaw, your mouth, the back of your neck, the thyroid, parathyroid, your shoulders and collarbone, your upper arm, elbows, forearms, and hands. And just feel this beautiful, energizing, cellular cleanup happen while this is happening. Whatever color light you see, just allow that. Relax your chest, your lungs, all your organs in your torso, your spine, that beautiful, life-giving spine. Relax your hip bones, your sex organs, your sit bones, your thighs, the back of the thighs, your knees, back of the knees, your calves and shins, ankles, the tops of your feet, and just feel the soles of your feet grounding you in this moment. Let go of what happened before you got here, how long it took, what's going to happen in this workshop, and just feel the groundedness of now. And being in your body at this moment. And ask for that sacred connection to be available. Now take a deep breath in through your nose. Exhale through your mouth. Like you're blowing out a candle. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale, last time. Exhale. Rub your hands together. And shake them out. Okay. So how can I use this sacred self-writing to practice? It's helped me through major family crisis, challenging relationships, things in my life that I have questioned and not known how to handle. And it's a daily practice that is any relationship that you have, the more you have it, the more clarity you can gain from it. And you can ask it any question, literally anything. For me, it's helped me, no subject has been off limits, absolutely none. I have been able to talk about relationships. When you go through a divorce, there's a lot to talk about. So there's so many things through this process that I've learned that needed to be revealed to me. And prior to that, was, what do you think about? And what do you think about? Instead of really sourcing my higher self. So why is this important? Especially now. Because right now, there's so much noise around us. And sometimes we get sucked into the noise and the distraction, social media, gossip, whatever it is. This sacred self-writing is a practice that helps you keep centered and just really, for me, it has really cleared my mind. So what I've noticed when I've taught this to people is that they're really kind of disconnected with that sacred self. So I was asked to be able to do this, just to be of service, to give this workshop so that people had an idea that this was accessible to you. I'm somebody who's giving it to you, but you will be able to give this to somebody else as well. You will be able to do this and develop this relationship by yourself. So I'm going to begin. I want to make two distinctions between what sacred self-writing is and what journaling is. They're two very different things. First of all, sacred self-writing is from your higher self, not your ego, right? So journaling captures thoughts and emotions. Sacred self-writing invites you to your guidance and inner wisdom. You already have this within already. You begin with the intentional question. When I take you through this process, you're going to be able to have the intention, and then you'll get the answer. Sacred self-writing is about listening, not just expressing, as in when you're journaling. Journaling has usually been to vent or to figure out a process of a problem. Sacred self-writing is getting an insight and guidance. The answers come from a place beyond everyday worries. It's a dialogue with your wisest and most grounded self. The writing has a sacred quality, like receiving a message, not making one up or trying to figure that thing out. That's one of the things that has blocked me, is trying to figure stuff out. And sacred self-writing has helped me allow. That's a big word I get all the time, allow and receive. The sacred self-writing has a quality like leaving a message. It feels different, almost as if like something is speaking to you. Actually, it is like something speaking to you, but through you, not like you're not making it up. And I want to emphasize that when you're doing your process, you're just listening. You're taking dictation. And the only thing I'm going to ask you not to do is judge it. Don't judge it. The difference between journaling and sacred self-writing, it is clarity, not catharsis. So journaling can lead to, cycling through emotions, and there's nothing wrong with that. But sacred self-writing shifts you into insight and action. It often surprises you. You may write something you didn't expect. That happens all the time, every day for me. I sometimes write it, and I'm not even familiar with what just happened, and I have to read it a couple days later. Because it uses a different language than I use. It's not like thou and these kind of things, but it's just a different cadence and different language, so be open to that too. It creates a transformation, not record keeping. Now I wrote that and I thought it is kind of record keeping, but it's from a grander scale. So for me, it's been expressed that there's no measurement. So I'm not behind. I'm not trying to get somewhere. I'm just trying to receive what is for me now. Okay, so I'll give you a story on how I started doing this practice. I don't know if you've heard of Andrew Weil. He had a clinic. I'm from Arizona. Shout out to all people from Arizona, Flagstaff and Bisbee. I was at one of his doctors, and they have this very extensive form that you have to fill out. They were like, what is your relationship like with your mother and father? And what did you eat for the last 2 weeks? And it was really intimidating to me. Anyway, I went to the doctor and she started asking me, what was your relationship like with your parents? And even though I'd answered it, online or whatever, I just started crying. And she didn't say anything. She just kept handing me tissues. She just, and I'm thinking, this is a very expensive appointment. You can't cry after this appointment, Briana. So she said nothing, and she just kept handing me tissues. So I don't remember the rest of it. I just remember after I called a friend, and I said, I don't know what's going on with me, something weird. Let's have lunch. We meet for lunch. I tell her what happened, and she said, guess what? You're about to have a breakthrough. And I was like, does that AKA mean breakdown? And she said, it possibly could, but I'm so excited for you. And I was going to this women's spiritual weekend. So, and weird symptoms, like I couldn't remember, like somebody was like, well, call Ruth. And I was like, I don't know anybody named Ruth. I was thinking, Ruth Bader Ginsburg wants to talk to me? Like, I couldn't think at all. It turns out it's my really good friend Ruth of 4 years, but there was something shifting and I didn't know what it was. So I get to the women's retreat and I'm out of sorts and I'm exhausted because all these thoughts were coming to me. And I literally was trying to journal and find out what was going on, and I was not coming up against, I was coming up against like blocks. And I didn't know what was going on. So I told a very good friend of mine who was kind of in charge of the weekend, and she said, okay, what I want you to do is tomorrow, we're not going to talk until after breakfast. So I want you to get up, I want you to take a notebook and a pen, and I want you to write with your dominant hand a question, and then answer it with your non-dominant hand. And I was like, that's it? Like, I told you I'm having a breakdown, and this is your answer? She goes, don't worry about it, trust the process. So whatever, I do that, I get up, and it's a very nice place, I'm by the pool, and I start asking a question. Okay, what's going on with me? And I'll give you the answer. I said, okay, what's going on? And then it said, it's time for you to stop parenting your parents. I was like, I'm going to stop doing this right now. This is weird, right? I'm very spiritual, but that was way woo-woo for me, you know? And I was thinking, yeah, I'm going to stop doing this. And I couldn't ask anybody because nobody was talking to each other. So I thought, okay, fine. I'll keep doing it. And I kept writing with my dominant hand and answering. And it was not that legible, but I kept getting answers. And I was like, this is freaking me out. Like, what does this mean? So, you know, after breakfast, then I was too embarrassed to tell anybody. Because this is really weird, right? Like, why would you tell anybody? Not even my friend who told me how to do this. It wasn't, she didn't call it sacred self-writing. She just said, do this, kind of like I'm going to do for you guys today. Just do it. And so what ended up happening, that night I had all these dreams that were revealed to me, some more things, and talking with my sister, and some more things were revealed. But it was the comfort that I had answers before I was having a breakthrough, I'll call it. And I didn't realize that there was already within me some answers. I mean, I knew spiritually, but I didn't know. And I didn't know how to have that access. And this practice has helped me have that access over and over. And sometimes I haven't even wanted to do it because I haven't wanted to know the answer, you know? It's like all that spiritual stuff is cool and still is real, you know? And for me, all of this has become real. So, one of the things that I'm going to say before we start, because I want to try to practice this right away, and hopefully you have paper and a pen. I left extra stuff out there, but I want you to have as much time as you need. So the only rule is don't judge. Don't look at anybody else's thing. Don't look at your thing too much. Don't question your question. Don't question your answer. Don't judge. And the other thing is allow yourself to be heard. Prior to doing this practice, I had realized I had cut myself off with a lot of things. Just go along to get along. I hadn't really realized that a lot of my shutting down, which is why I had that breakthrough, was because I'm a very open person in all these, but there was things in my life and in my body that I had shut down. Dreams, hopes, possibility. I just kind of went with the flow. And this sacred self-writing has helped me. It's why I live in Mexico. It's why I got a divorce. It's why I'm doing this work. I was asked by this sacred self-writing to not hoard it, to share it. So it's not mine to keep, it's yours to grow and develop. I'm just the conduit right now, and whatever. Also, make sure you sign my email list. I'm going to give another free mini workshop with, a couple of prompts if you're interested. So, the practice is you write with your dominant hand the question. I'll give you some ideas of a question if you don't have one. And then you write answer with the non-dominant hand. It doesn't matter if you can't read it right now. It doesn't matter that it's perfect. It doesn't matter if you get an answer right now. It does matter that your intention is to have this communication. So, one thing where's my Dorothy? Anyway, the Wizard of Oz. So what does Glinda say to Dorothy? You had it within you all the time. So this is the same thing, okay? So, right now, just get ready. Get your paper, your pen, and you can say, for me, I'm very polite. I like to say please and thank you. So, for me, I say good morning, mine's divine. Good morning, divine. What message do you have for me today? But some other things are, dear sacred self, whatever you want to call it, that's on you. What do I need most right now? What is my deeper self trying to tell me? Or what truth am I ready to hear? So take any of those suggestions or your own, and I'm going to give you like 5 minutes. Write with your dominant hand, answer with your non-dominant hand.
Or before, would you repeat the question?
Oh, sure. That's a good question. She asked me to repeat the questions. So you can say, Dear Sacred Self, good morning, however. What's the message I need to hear today? What do I need to do? What do I need most right now? What is my deeper self trying to tell me? What truth am I ready to hear? I'm going to give a couple more minutes. I still see heads down, but I'm going to go ahead and continue. And and when we do the Q&A, please feel free to ask me any and all questions. How I incorporate this practice into my daily routine. I've been a meditator, since I was 18, I'm 60. So it's something that's naturally a part of my day. With the Sacred Self writing, especially going through a divorce, I coupled it, I know a lot of you have heard of the Artist's Way, I coupled it with my morning pages. Because I got up, my head was running 500 miles an hour when I got up in the morning. So I did my morning pages just to dump. And then I was cleared to be able to do the Sacred Self writing. I was cleared up to, and this morning I did only like a page of morning pages, and I did my Sacred Self writing, which ended up being like 6 pages. So I never know how long it's going to take. Usually it doesn't take past, I would say, 5 or 10 minutes. I mean, I do it most days, unless I'm avoiding something that I just want to know the answer to. But for me, the clarity that I gain from this is, and you might experience this too, it's a little intimidating when you get a true answer that really resonates with you. And it's a little intimidating to know that that information came from you to you.
Yeah.
And it's eye-opening, it's freeing, but also with that new knowledge that came from you, that you allowed in, you have to now take the action of expanding. There lies the intimidating part. You don't get to rest in lovely ignorant bliss. You actually have to, you don't have to, because you can avoid writing, you can avoid all of it, but once you establish this relationship and keep the conversation going, more is revealed. And to tell you and it's nothing, here's some really things to be clear about when you are getting messages from your sacred self, to know what's sacred self and what's just gossip happening in your head. There is never any judgment. There is only opportunities for growth. Thank you. There is never any shaming, any guilt, any putting down. It's only for your expansion. It never talks about you're behind, like you should have, or I can't believe you didn't, and what? There's no questioning. There's only now in these responses. So you will, as you develop yours, you'll see the language that comes to you. You'll be able to appreciate the communication. And again, for me, it's English, because I speak English, but it's a different kind of experience that I've had with the language it uses. It's much more expansive. It doesn't, there's always a path of expansion. There's always enough. There's always prosperous. It's always abundant. And it's giving me an opportunity to understand what is abundance, what is prosperity, what is allowing. Because a lot of times I don't realize I block a lot of things. Not consciously at all, but I block more prosperity. I block, I had gotten a message in my evolution to divorce. I was married for 29 years, and I just started doing my morning meditation, doing my writing, and it said learn Spanish. I was like, okay. So I followed direction. I learned, I took Spanish 1 day a week, which we all know that does nothing. So, but I was willing to just take the action. It was minimal, but I didn't know at the time. It had always been a dream for me to be able to live in Mexico. I went to Chichen Itza in 1990, and I just fell in love, and I've been back all over Mexico. But at the time, it wasn't on my mind. And it said learn Spanish, so fine. I took the action. And then it was, actually learn Spanish, Briana. Like, don't stop playing. So I started really trying to look at videos and find out more about Americans moving to Mexico and these kinds of things. And I actually had another kind of breakthrough. in the pandemic, I had identified money as kind of something that was prosperous. And at the time I had, we came into a lot of it, and none of it helped me with my growth that I wanted to have. Excuse me. And as I was doing the Sacred Self writing, it was like, open yourself up to real abundance and real prosperity. And it started to define for me what that was for me. I didn't think it was a divorce, but I mean, I didn't want to be in my marriage anyway, but it was, you know, walking through that process of divorce. Really consciously, you know, we had, my ex-husband and I had talked, and we had a consciously uncoupled thing, which was a lie. But anyway, it was a cute little phrase. But it helped me, you know, as much, the harder the process of divorce became, the more I relied on that Sacred Self writing, because it empowered me in a way that I didn't know I needed. I have amazing people in my life. I'm very blessed that way. But it also cleansed a lot of people in my life that I no longer supported me, loved me in a way that my new being needed. And they were cleansed out of my life. And dealing with that was also a challenge. So I got to write about that and ask my sacred self, okay, you know, I lost this really good friend. Cool, cool, cool. I should be grateful. I'm very grateful. But what do I do now? And I kept getting direction. The only thing that I will say, what was annoying, is that I only got direction one day at a time. I didn't get 5 years from now, girl, this will happen, and that. It doesn't work for me. Yours may be different, but it hasn't worked like that for me. I only get the instructions for that day. And when I read back through it, I can see the growth that I've had. I'm just taking one Spanish class a week to divorcing and moving to Mexico. I was led by my divine self, thank you. And I mean, for me, it says it's a divine. They don't have it's just a divine. There's not a male-female aspect. There's none of that stuff. It's just divine. You will find out your name. Is it sacred self? Is it, you know, higher power? Is it whatever it is for you? You will find out that too. And just engage in this. I cannot encourage you enough to enjoy the process of this. It's something that you can, all you need is one other thing. Make sure this isn't on the computer. This is only through handwriting. I'm left-handed, write with my dominant hand, answer with my non-dominant hand. I don't need to switch hands anymore. You may not need to do that either. But for like a good year, since I didn't believe, I mean, I was doing it, but I didn't really believe in it, which I don't even understand why I did that, but I was doing opposite hands. And then it was like so hard for me to read, and then I asked, how come I can't read it? And they were like, just write with your regular hand. Like, don't make it a big deal. Like, I was making everything a big deal and complicated and all. This is not that. This is not that complicated. You don't have to make it scary or whatever. This is this divine opportunity for you to have this awareness. So I think I have like 1 minute left. Oh, we've got 4. Okay. Anyway, I think I'll just take questions. I mean, I'm interested to know what happened for you during this very brief process, and if you have any questions. Kathleen?
I would like to know, did you, like, the first month that you were doing this, were you agitated, or did you start crying, or did you want to go back to bed every time you did this exercise?
She asked if I was, during my first month of this, was I agitated, was I upset, what was going on? Well, like I said, I was having a breakdown, and what happened for me is that I had received some information, and that Monday, my mother called me and said, oh, I'm having this surgery. And, oh no, she called on Saturday and said, my sister, I'm very much into prayer. So she asked my sister and I to pray for her, and I was like, yeah, okay, whatever. And Monday she had the surgery and her doctor called me and said she has cancer everywhere in her body. And I was like, okay. And prior to that, I'd had all these memories, and I thought I literally was having a nervous breakdown, and I kept writing, and it was giving me messages along the line. It's time to let your parents be liberated. Stop holding them with your taking care of them. So that's what was going on when I started this. So yes, there was a lot of questioning. This is weird. I don't know if I should do this. Is this against something? It was just strange. But it was the only thing giving me a solution. So I kept doing it. That was in October, and then my mother passed away in January. And it helped walk me through. She decided to move to Uganda to die. We're not Ugandan. I'm from Illinois. So she, and just to deal with to honor and respect her wishes. She had some spiritual teacher there that she wanted to be with, so I got to honor that and heal some things in that relationship before she left. That it still, the sacred self-writing helps me still heal now. So you had a question.
Yeah, I found that I was hearing the messages, but it was so distracting to write because it was like chicken scratch, and I wasn't fast enough. So I had an idea that what I would do next time would be to activate the hand, the non-dominant hand, and write with my dominant hand, that I would be able to at least have that part of my brain activated. So I'd have like something in my hand to activate it while I'm writing.
If that works,
Yeah.
completely do it. What she asked, she said that, because the messages were coming so quickly, she couldn't write with her non-dominant hand as fast. So she's going to do activity with the non-dominant hand while her hand writes. That's an excellent kind of counterbalance if that works for you.
You were writing successfully with your non-dominant hand?
Yeah, I'm an ambidextrous.
Oh.
But you brought up a really good point, is that sometimes you'll get the answer and it'll be like, oh, you're taking dictation, you can't do it fast enough. It's okay, it still stays there. You will still be able to write it. And then as you're writing it, like this morning I thought, why am I writing 6 pages? Don't you know I have to go to the workshop? As you're writing it, the more succinct language is revealed too. So I hope that makes sense. Anyway, yes, Robin.
Do you have other people read yours and give you and talk about it, or is it only for you?
Both. It depends. Like I've written about things and I tell my sister, because I'm like, oh my God, Bridget, this just came. And she's like, oh my God, you sound like Conversations with God. I've never read that book, but she has. And so I've been very selective about who I share it with. Because again, even though I've been doing this for 11 years, I'm still kind of woo-woo to me. So this is like, I'm coming out right now.
Well, do you ever hear a weird one? What does this mean? Because I think I have a weird one.
Well, no, but that's a very good point. Robin's asking if you have a weird something that you get an answer. Do you discuss it with somebody? What do you do? You can. This is, for me, the sacred self-writing is opening up a dialogue so that I open up. Do I want to share it with somebody? Do I not want to share it? Usually it's my sister and my cousin. Those are the only 2 people I share it with. Because I believe, they don't believe, but I believe everybody can do this. They're like, that's your thing, Briana. We love hearing about your writing. We're not going to do that. So, but if you feel moved to do that, and you can ask who can I share this with? Because it's a very intimate, for me, it's a very intimate thing. I don't share it with everybody. It's this relationship with my higher self, sacred self, divine self. So you have to be pretty special for me to share that with you. Does anybody else have a question? Yes, Bonnie.
Yes, I just had a question. Is there a purpose a purpose, a reason for writing it with your non-dominant hand? Is it to slow you down? What's the purpose of?
It's to get the purpose of writing with your non-dominant hand in the beginning is to get that thinking gone. Like, I'm gonna say this makes sense to write.
But I was more thinking about how do I make the letter H with my left hand?
But that's also,
I.
right, but that's also a great distraction so that
That's
you
what
are,
I'm asking.
yeah, you're paying attention to that. But again, that was just something, again, I'm trying to make a 3-hour thing into,
I understand. Thank you.
30 minutes. But that's a really good thing to notice. If you start and you're like, oh, this is really hard non-dominant hand, go ahead and just use your dominant hand. I just do that as an exercise to get you out of, it should look like, it should be like, just to get out of the judgment and be more into the receiving and allowing for your answer to come. A great question. Yes, sir.
You mentioned ego. Do you think about superego when you think about
Yeah,
this inner self?
yeah.
To tell you the truth, I don't know that much about superego, so I don't.
Thanks.
But
I have the same
if I
question.
knew more, maybe I would. I'm not. It's so funny because it's like I've studied, I at one time wanted to be an anthropologist, a religious anthropologist, because I love religions. I love all of them. I love folklore. I love all of that. And I love reading and finding out about cultures. And I've done a lot of spiritual work, been to a lot of countries, initiated by a lot of people, whatever. But what I'm finding out now is that it's not that deep. It's really simple. Things are very simple. I would say, well, they're puddle deep and I'm oceans deep. That was my ego. I was judging somebody's path. Somebody should. Did you see what I did? Did I tell you what I did? That's not what the sacred self-writing has taught me. It's taught me this beautiful love for everybody. Everybody's path. And for me, especially if I'm related to you, really hard for me not to judge your path. But, especially if I didn't want to. I'll just give you an example. My daughter moved to France. She was at my last talk. Amazing young woman. She always wanted to be in France. There's a picture of her with the Eiffel Tower at 7 years old. She figured out how to do that on the computer. I don't know how she did it. Anyway, so at 22, she was moving to Paris. And she came here to, get a bunch of clothes and everything. Anyway, for me to buy her things. And then she went to Paris. A lifelong dream. Oh my gosh, she had a job. It was great. Everything. And then she was like, I actually don't like Paris. I'm going to quit my job. And I was like, oh my God, she's such a loser, right? Like, how did I raise somebody who would quit? Anyway, I had already planned with my other child to go to Paris and visit her or whatever. And she'd only been there since the last week in August, and I got there in December. Get there in December, and I'm trying not to be judgmental, but I'm pretty sure it's written on my face. I haven't said anything, but I silently scream stuff, especially if I'm related to you. So she kind of, she was my tour guide. And she took us all around everywhere. She knew how to take the metro. She knew how to she hooked us up for a week. Let's go to this part of Versailles. Let's go to the gardens. And it was freezing cold. And what I learned doing my writing, because, please don't help me, I don't want to judge this child, is that she learned what she needed to learn in Paris. She got all the information that she needed. I was judging how long she should have been there to learn it. I don't know. She came back, she had no job, and she's like, I don't know, it's going to work out for me, Mommy. And I'm like, okay, cool. You figured you out. Yesterday she called me. She's been back a month. She has a job and bought a car, her first car on her own. I don't know what anybody's solution is. My sacred self-writing has taught me get out of anybody's way, especially my way. Get out of your own way. And sacred self-writing has been the way to show me how to do that. So, anybody else have a question? You all got it? Now you're gonna teach other people.
Thank you.
Anyway, thank you.
Thank you.